Welcome back to the Restaurant Growth Show podcast. I am a big fan of our next guest. A couple of years ago, I was on Mike Williams' podcast. Shout out to Mike and Jet Ads. And I was on Mike's podcast. He asked me to come on to talk about email marketing. I've always been a big fan of email marketing for all businesses, not just hospitality. And, I had a background in search engine optimization and building websites and all that kind of stuff, but I can talk relatively intelligently to email marketing. And there was also another guest on Mike's podcast that day, and her name is Naomi West, and she absolutely just dropped the mic several times, and we were just like, oh, we did not know that. We did not know that. So naturally, we are more than happy to have Naomi West on the show today. Naomi is an award-winning email marketing strategist. She's here to share how restaurant owners can use email to drive customer engagement and boost sales. Naomi, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm so excited to be here today. I could talk email for hours. So hopefully we'll hit home on a couple really valuable points for the hospitality industry today. And yeah, email is it's not only my full-time job, but it's one of my side passions as well, because it's a fun area of being creative, but also building relationships with those around you. So can't wait to chat today.
Yes, we're going to nerd out on some email, all things email today.
Yeah.
But before we jump in, Naomi, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? We know your passion is for email, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and how you got to where you are?
Yeah. So I've been working primarily dedicated in kind of the email industry since 2015. My career has led me through working in-house at email service providers. I worked at one called Braze out of their London, UK office, and I currently work at another email service provider called Customer.io. That was by way of an acquisition of a code editor that I was actually working on a couple years ago. Aside from working in-house and kind of on the vendor side, I've managed lists myself in-house as a strategist or email marketing manager or lifecycle marketing manager. There's so many synonymous titles for the same job these days. And I've built lists from the ground up, or I've, inherited lists of 3 million subscribers. So it's a pretty wide range of strategies I've worked on. And I do quite a lot of consulting on the side as well. So when COVID hit, I was faced with the question of, do I sit on my couch and buy clothes online and spend all my money, or do I lean into this passion of mine, which is email marketing, and that I have. So I'm based out of Vancouver, BC, but I consult globally with a variety of different industries and clients, and all the way through from deliverability troubleshooting to content creation to accessibility best practices to full kind of life cycle marketing strategy. I'm across the board. So yeah, all roads lead back to email. I don't have too many hobbies, and that's okay with me.
Spoken like a true email nerd. Yes,
Yes.
that's amazing. And the reason why I think you would agree, Naomi, why I love email so much is the return on investment. It's
Mhm.
still king out of all the marketing channels that are out there that
Mhm.
we all try and take advantage of. Email ROI is just through the roof, and I don't see it going anywhere. But I'm sure we'll dig into the future of email and all of those wonderful things. But let's get back to the restaurant industry.
Yes.
Naomi, why is email marketing important for restaurants, and what are some of the common mistakes that restaurant owners should avoid when they're starting out?
Yeah, this is such an interesting question because it's not necessarily a mistake that anyone is intentionally making, but the lack of any email marketing in one's business plan or marketing calendar in any capacity is the first mistake. I see email as this channel where you own your content and you own your audience. And if you're going to invest in social, that's fantastic. It builds brand awareness at a high level. You can really get the word out. But as soon as you want to actually foster a relationship with some of these people that are following you, you can't do that with social in the same way that you can do it with email. So with email, you have people that kind of have come to you and in some capacity said, I want to hear from you. I am interested in hearing from you in some capacity, whether it's a weekly newsletter or in the restaurant context when you update your menu or when you have something new in store or in the restaurant space. I want to hear about that. And by not even communicating or not even starting to forge that relationship, you're leaving so many potential advocates of your business or, you know, people that will come in and spread the word about what you offer. You're leaving all of that on the table. So the biggest mistake that I see in the restaurant space specifically is just the lack of email marketing. And you don't need to send an email every day or every week, but make an effort to create some form of predictable cadence, whether it's once a month, just to say, hey, here's what's going on in this specific space that we have. Here's what you should need. Here's what you need to know. And at least then you're remaining top of mind for some of these people, which if you don't do it, you don't get that opportunity.
I couldn't agree more. These lists that restaurants are building almost in the
Mhm.
background without any effort whatsoever.
Yeah.
They are a direct line to someone's smartphone over and above, say, social even. And I don't even want to compare it to paid advertising.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you not send out even a short message? It doesn't even
Hmm.
have to have an image or a video or anything fancy. Hey, listen, we got a brand new special we are super
Yeah.
stoked about. Check it out. Come on
Yeah.
in tomorrow, whatever that is. It doesn't need to be spammy. It doesn't need to be, written by, anything super
Hmm.
professional. But honestly, it's just a direct line to your customers.
Yeah.
Why not take advantage of that?
Yeah, if you're going to post it on social, which I see a lot of restaurants do, right? Like the imagery is what kind of sells you on a lot of restaurants, right? But if you have the time and energy to make an Instagram story or post on Facebook or make an Instagram post or TikTok or whatever the medium is, send out an email because there are so many algorithms at play on social that your announcement of a new fall menu or your announcement that you now cater to a gluten-free audience or celiac audience can be completely missed. And with email, you have a direct line to all those people that have, either subscribed to hear from you through a reservation system like Talk or Resi or the alternatives, or they've gone to your website and signed up to hear from you in your website footer in some capacity, or they've signed up in person, on like paper and pen list. So if you have time to mention something on social, send out an email, and it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be amazingly designed. If you have something to say, use the mediums in front of you, email being first and foremost.
Yeah, and I think that one of the most powerful things about email today is what God was saying. I mean, we get notifications of everything so
Mm-hmm.
many times on our smartphones. And, the email is one of those notifications
Mm-hmm.
that we get a pop-up, a preview. So that's a moment, an opportunity to actually capture someone's attention. Now, what are the best ways for restaurants to build an email list? If we go back to the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of this, and how to make sure that they're sending the right messages to the right people.
Yeah. So you have to think about what value you potentially are going to deliver over email as a channel. When I think of the emails that I do get from the hospitality business, I can show off some examples here in a minute, but
Mhm.
I think of menu updates. I think of collaborations with maybe guest chefs. I think of rewards programs for those maybe more quick service hospitality establishments where they know you're going to come back more frequently. I look at Starbucks as an example and Chipotle and some of those more, again, quicker in and out establishments. The value that you get over email with those are potentially points if you buy certain products, or maybe it's a 50% off discount code. Now, I'm going to sign up for those email programs because that is the channel I get those offerings on. And so if you take all of that information, knowing that email is an exclusive channel, and you mention that on something like an email sign up form, that is why people are going to come and subscribe to you. And you have to use that to start to build your list. So you take the content that you want to deliver, you write up why it's so valuable for the user, and you use that as an incentive to drive list growth, whether that be in your website footer, with, a form field, first name and email, and then subscribe to our newsletter or email marketing program to get exclusive email only offers, such as discounts, freebies, and maybe like a 50% off your first meal in store. So you take that and use that to your advantage, and people are going to start to talk, right? I only learned about probably the Starbucks rewards program through a friend, through a diehard Starbucks fan. And instead of, ordering in store, she only now orders from the app because there are exclusive offerings through that capacity. And over time, I became ingrained with the same behavior. So it's going to start to spread. People will start to realize, oh, I do want to sign up to this newsletter. My mother-in-law is consistently forwarding me things that she learns from newsletter programs. And that's how a really great kind of referral network starts to take shape with an email marketing program. And that's how list growth starts to happen organically over time.
And what about those that don't have a reward program or loyalty of sorts? What type of content would you replace if in that case?
Yeah, you definitely don't have to have like a fully formed rewards program in any capacity. You can have one-off discounts. I'm going to pull up my screen right now and show you an example. So this example, I'm going to scroll through this one email. It's an email from Chipotle. And all it is saying your free drink is here. You get a free fountain drink for basically 7 days. And I'm sure what you could do if you were wanting to kind of take this same strategy and implement it in your quick service establishment or restaurant is you could say, show this email at checkout. So you get this email, all you have to do is have the cashier or the kind of attendant on that side know that this email is being sent out and that it expires by, in this case, the term and condition here on this email says order by May 21st. So it's pretty easy to do things like this. A free fountain drink, I'm sure, doesn't have a huge overhead cost for the business. This is such an easy email to send out to try and drive loyalty in some capacity. And it brings more people through the door, right? You're offering probably $1 off essentially. And people are going to come in here. And I'm sure some people will maybe, just get their free drink and leave, but the likelihood is very low because you can't not buy Chipotle if you're in Chipotle kind of
Exactly.
thing.
There's no way you're walking
There's
into
no
Chipotle,
way.
walking out with a Coke and not a burrito. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to have like this well-defined loyalty program in any capacity. You could build out a content calendar where once a month you send out this type of email offering a free drink, or maybe it's, $5 off if you spend $20. There's various ways of creating these touch points. Other examples are, this is a restaurant in Vancouver called Pigeon, I think is how you pronounce it, but they consistently are doing maybe like guest chef opportunities, very different than a quick service restaurant, but they sell tickets, which could be for other restaurants, maybe just reservation spots. And you could easily have this, makeshift once a month very special dinner where you say, we will be featuring an appetizer we've never featured before. Book in your spot. In this case, from this restaurant, they're selling tickets that start at $175, but you don't have to attach a ticket price on it. You could easily just link out to your reservation booking system and say, this is a limited seating dinner where we have an appetizer you can't get any other day of the week or any other time this year.
Thank you for making us smarter. That is, I love that. Like, it just got my mind thinking about not this one, but the previous one of the Chipotle one.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't have the technology to do something automatic to capture emails, and you were to have, let's say, a poster in the restaurant that says, "Show your email or our email that you received with the drink," they're gonna go like, "Hey, take my email."
Yeah.
So I love it.
And there's such an effective way of that, like in real life to digital connection through even just posting a QR code on that poster that links up to your email sign up landing page. And as soon as someone, holds their phone up, scans your QR code, goes to your website, subscribes to email, in that welcome email that they get automatically, that could be like the free drink that they need to show at checkout. So it's a great way of connecting in real life to digital.
Love it. Love it.
Mhm.
Gordon.
Mhm.
I love the examples. Thank you so much. And you know, just like Jose was saying, if you don't have the technology to collect emails to build your list, similarly, if you're not a you know a graphic designer, you really don't need to create something ultra fancy like
No.
the emails by say Chipotle
Mhm.
and Pigeon. Shout out to Pigeon for a very risky name for a restaurant,
Mhm.
but you know those are really beautifully designed. You don't have to. It really is just about you know the offer itself and what you're trying to say, and it just doesn't need to be all fluff, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you brought some examples with you. I want to talk about more about content and
Mhm.
subject lines. How can restaurant owners develop those, you know, those subject lines that drive an action, get the user to take an action or,
Mhm.
you know, open an email? We all know how important it is for open rates, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's so many different opinions in the marketing world of how to craft effective subject lines. And it is really going to be dependent business to business, how each audience reacts to certain subject lines. My recommendation is to always be as clear as possible to what your email content is going to include. There are a couple different factors or opportunities for you to provide visibility in the inbox view. There's your friendly from name, there's your subject line, and then your pre-header or preview text, which is often just the lighter text that follows your subject line. There are some pretty big changes coming as of Monday, September 16th, I believe it is, Monday, September 16th, with the release of iOS 18, which comes with the Apple Mail. Now, Apple Mail currently holds the largest market share of recipient inboxes, essentially saying, like, if we were to survey the whole world, a majority would be using Apple Mail in some capacity. I think it's probably a 50 to 60% market share that Apple
Wow.
Mail holds. Now, the reason I bring this up is because with iOS 18, their Apple Intelligence Suite, which will come into fruition next week, actually is going to AI generate the preview pre-header text.
Oh, wow.
So
Whoa,
it's a
whoa. Okay.
huge update. It's essentially
Oh my God.
saying, you know, I could be here preaching, oh, create subject lines that have emojis. Now, pre-headers and subject lines, they really go hand in hand, and the control is now being taken away from the marketer to be able to specify what you want that text to look like. So keep that in mind when you're writing your subject lines and your preview text. If you try and do, you know, a play on words with one of them bouncing off the subject line, or it's this longer kind of sentence that you spread across the subject line and pre-header, you're going to lose that control of the preview text. It will be pulled from the live email content in your email and be summarized in a similar way that I would maybe go to ChatGPT and say, hey, can you summarize this email? I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to start to see as of Monday.
Oh,
Rendering the creativity of subject lines
A little
useless
bit,
almost.
yes, yes. Of course, there's
yeah.
other inboxes still, Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail. I never know if they're going to follow suit, but it's a pretty big update. And I think my recommendation still stands just as strong. You know, your subject lines should be clear. They should be exactly kind of related to your call to action, whatever you have on that button in your email, what you want your subscribers to do. So instead of, you know, going down the spammy route of you're never going to believe this, or like free gift inside, be clear with it, because that's where you're going to get the highest level of intent from people that do see your email and say, I do want that free fountain drink, or I'm really excited that they've launched, you know, a gluten-free menu, and I am going to open this email up and I'm going to take a look, and they want me to reserve, and I'm going to go check it out in store, in restaurant. So clarity is my recommendation.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah. So yeah. So the old, you know, tempting,
Yeah.
open this and you're gonna find out what's in the email. That's essentially out the door. And you know what, I'm for it, to be honest. There's too much of a gray area there on
Mhm.
what works and what doesn't. Be concise, be to the point.
You're
Well,
also like, you're also living in a world where I am subscribed to hundreds of different email programs. I don't have time to be guessing. with every single brand that takes the mysterious approach. I want to know what your email is going to talk about so that I can take action with it, you know?
I like what you're saying because there, I mean, honesty and clarity, if AI is going to help us be
Mhm.
more transparent and help with that, so that we have to, as marketers, write an email that it's really honest, that it's really, and then they somehow go like, oh, this is really good. And check this out. This is a
Yeah.
subject line that is personalized to the user because all of that data that they're collecting in the phone will serve the user better. Like
Yeah.
I think that's a it's a good rule of thumb. Let's hope that everything just goes that way and support
Yes.
the process. We gotta keep
Yeah.
positive with AI, right?
Yeah.
Now, okay, given that or not, when it comes to automated emails, okay, like welcome messages or maybe reminders, that is a communication opportunity, right? So how do they take advantage of that to stay connected with their customers and more importantly, especially for restaurants, to bring them back?
I have a really good example of a retention tactic from my favorite sushi restaurant in Vancouver, which I will pull up in a second. But I want to start by saying automated campaigns are going to be the biggest time saver for any restaurant owner or marketer that works for hospitality in general. You can automate so many touch points, regardless of the industry that you're in, that will continue to build relationships with subscribers on your behalf without you having to create a manual email campaign once a week or once every couple days or once a month. When I think of automated touch points that are incredibly beneficial in the context of hospitality, I think of course, a welcome email. Every single business, regardless of the industry, should have a welcome email. It serves as an opt-in conversation starter in a way where as soon as the subscriber gives you their email address, you basically have this automated touch point that says, hey, welcome to so-and-so. Here's why you've signed up to us, whether it was, a discount code or a free fountain drink, or just a confirmation of, we're going to send you an email monthly about our new menu updates, or when we do launch new reservation seatings, if you're a super popular restaurant, let's say. So that welcome email touch point should be confirming that someone's opted in and should be reiterating the value that you do plan to provide on kind of a more one-off touch point basis. Some other areas of opportunity for hospitality businesses to automate when it comes to email marketing would be on the more transactional touch point, when you do book in a reservation reminder. If you're struggling with no-shows, get people to confirm that they do plan on coming, how many people they plan to bring after the reservation. Ask them for a Google review, ask them for feedback on their experience, ask them for what their favorite dish was. Like, use this as actually a back and forth channel where you do want to build a relationship with someone. I've only seen a handful of restaurants take this approach where they actually ask me, like, what was your favorite part of your experience? Love the book Unreasonable Hospitality. I'm sure you both have read it potentially, but
I have not, but now it's on the list.
Taking
I
note.
know. Okay,
Oh
Taking
my
note.
goodness.
that's a major fail. Clearly, that's a major fail. Okay.
It is the best book I have read in a while when it comes to like a case study in hospitality and delivering this amazing experience. And when I think of email marketing, I think of how can you go above and beyond and think outside of the box. And when I think of that, I think of those touch points that are like, what was your favorite part of the experience? Or if you could reorder a dish immediately, what would it have been? Or what would you like to see on our menu? Like, reach out and actually talk to these users. I'm sure you won't be, inundated with volume, but it's a great automated touch point that can then deliver a better experience for your company and your future guests. And then the last touch point that I'll pull up here is kind of this inactivity piece. So this email here, Tauntaun Sushi, I love them. They send me an email when I haven't ordered from them after like 2 or 3 weeks. And I get this all the time because I order sushi and then I cook for myself for a period of time. And then they send me this email and I'm like, oh my goodness, of course I need to order Tauntaun Sushi tonight. Like, I'm immediately reminded of how much I love them. And I always follow through within probably a 72-hour period after receiving something like this. So this is the easiest touch point You just have knowledge of, when someone has booked in with you last, you add a delay step after that, and then you send this touch point out. And it allows kind of this frequent, repeated reminder of, please remember us next time you're hungry. Your support's greatly appreciated. Order now. And it does say, this is an automated message. Please do not reply. I don't like this aspect that it's telling me not to reply, because what if I did want to reply? Then that's an opportunity for us to have a relationship. But I think regardless, this type of tactic should be employed by many, many businesses.
That is so easy. I love
So
that.
easy.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Top of mind, simple top of mind.
Yeah, super easy. And that can not only, reduce churn, it can, I can come with a friend. I could be sharing, the love of Sushi Tauntaun with my network by just getting that simple email. And then they could get that email. And so you're growing your list in a very organic way.
We may even see a little bit of that. The phone is listening.
Maybe.
Probably. Like we'll see with the next iOS update,
Yeah.
It's just coming so fast and
I
furious.
know.
Okay, so Naomi, you've shared some examples of emails. What about like email campaigns? Like specifically something over, a sequence, I guess you could say, that you find that have worked well for restaurants. And what should operators think about when they're creating their own campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, email sequences can be built off of any of those touch points that I just mentioned. I've seen really effective welcome series, flows, sequences be built where you tell the story of how your restaurant came to be when it was established, who the chef is working at the restaurant, what your menu looks like, what your happy hour special is. All of those things I just mentioned can be broken out into potentially 4 different emails with a 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 day delay between them. And now all of a sudden you have this automated relationship building touch point series of emails that will go out to your user without any manual work after you establish them. And all of those too, the goal of this welcome series could be getting someone to make a purchase or getting someone to book in to make a reservation. And there's many platforms out there that will allow you to create that granular filtering. So if they do end up making a reservation, maybe you pull them out of your welcome sequence, or maybe if they do make a reservation, you change the call to action copy to, instead of make a reservation, to leave us a review or follow us on social. There's so many different ways you can create really dynamic emails based on what someone has done or hasn't done. So I think, we talk about these automated touch points. They can be absolutely extended with new evergreen content. They can absolutely be broken out into 6-month long timelines of where you're communicating with someone on a monthly basis. And that way you don't have to kind of lean on the one-off emails to supplement relationship building.
I really love, now my mind is going with, like, say, a restaurant's origin story, right? And with the tools that we have now, everyone's using them. You can log into GPT and say, this is how my restaurant was formed, to give it some dates and some characters, whatever that is. You don't need to be a creative writer, and go create me an origin story. And then you break that out into a multi-step email sequence that tantalizes your customers and go, look, this is the history of this restaurant. This is where we came from. There's some passion and love here. So I love that aspect.
Yeah. And you see that, like, at least I see that on social already. I realize there's a new restaurant in the neighborhood. The example I'm thinking of is there's a new restaurant going up. It's called June. It's on Canby Street in Vancouver. And, I think Scout Magazine posted a series on this new restaurant and its origin. And I went and followed the June social, and they've done this series talking about who the restaurant manager is and the bar manager and the history of the building that they're moving into as this new cocktail bar. And the entire time I was reading this, I'm like, how amazing would this be as a multi-step email welcome series? Because you're
Right.
probably missing a lot of people on social media.
Mhm.
And this is also a new restaurant as part of a larger hospitality group. So if that hospitality group has an existing email list, go tell the story to them to help build the hype and build the buzz about it. So yeah, again, repurposing content is going to be a best friend to any email marketer.
Agreed. Agreed. Now that something came to mind. Okay, I have a question to wrap it up. Something came to mind, and now that you talk about a hospital group, hospitality group, sorry,
Mhm.
is how do you approach a chain? Okay,
Mhm.
to what would be the approach for a chain that it's across multiple provinces?
Mhm.
And the question is, how do you approach the content if you want to personalize it at the regional level, city level, but most importantly at the location level? Is it
Yeah.
possible? Is
Mm.
it possible? Like how do you parse down those?
Customization, yeah, of the
So so
Yeah.
content.
that
Yeah.
so that you can, for example, help this location over the other location. Do
Yeah.
you have to do a national campaign all the time that everything is consistent, or how do you do it, and how do you differentiate them? Tell
Yeah.
me your secrets.
Yeah.
We're taking notes right now. I'm glad this is recorded because I'll be reviewing this. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the age-old question of how to effectively personalize your marketing. And I have an example. I always lean on this example again from Chipotle. I've probably only eaten Chipotle like 3 times in my life, yet somehow I have like a million emails of theirs saved. So props to their marketing team. But you need to ask for the collection of first party data when it comes to chains and wanting to effectively personalize. And so this email from Chipotle has the header of finally some one on one time with the content of thanks for showing your dedication to delicious burritos. By signing up for Chipotle news and updates, you'll be the first to hear about big events, promotions, and the latest happenings, and the occasional tasty offer. We won't let you down, we promise. This goes back to delivering and repeating the value that you're going to give to this subscriber. But I love this bit. So this says, if you'd like to know about the latest local events, offers, and when we're opening new restaurants close to you, just visit your email preferences page and subscribe with the call to action of sign up to your city's list. So what they're essentially asking me for here is to define where I live, I'm sure from like a drop down menu or multiple select option of what specific areas of Canada or the US, what specific areas I want to identify towards or of
Mhm.
or in.
Mhm.
And what I would expect that to do is then, let's say I click on this and I hit Vancouver. Now they have my email address, my first name, let's say, and city equals Vancouver. And, I could be part of a broader segment, which is Chipotle email marketing. And if they wanted to announce, a nationwide new burrito, I could get that email. But if they did want to let me know that all burritos are 50% off at their Vancouver locations, I now have declared that information. I've offered up that data, and they can effectively personalize campaigns to me using that data in the future. So whether you are asking for this type of data after you've already collected the email subscriber, you're asking them to provide you more data, you can go down that route. I would recommend for restaurants that have a chain in some capacity, collect the city at time of sign up. So if you have a website collection in your website footer, or you have a pop-up on your website that asks individuals to subscribe, you should have a form field that allows people to select their city. And I wouldn't have it be an open text field. I would have like your actual preferences already written out as like a drop down, because you're going to get people submitting potentially Vancouver with typos, or lowercase Vancouver, uppercase Vancouver, Vancouver in all caps, and it might be tricky to consolidate that data. So if you do want to go down the personalization route, predefine the fields for people to select,
Love
and
it.
that's how you do it.
Even
Feeling
you could
smarter.
even dig down further, sorry Jose, into neighborhood, so
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
larger cities
No,
where there's multiple locations, into your neighborhood and
Yeah.
I think that even after, as long as you give them a reason to interact
Mhm.
with you, it'll be really easy to actually just have a very functional form that has conditionals, and when you choose Vancouver, the 4 or 5 locations of the city tells which is your favorite location, or even rank them, and that way you can actually do specific to those that have a favorite location of the chain. Thank you for making me smarter.
We're going to be email scholars by the end of this, Jose.
Yeah,
I love
exactly. Graduation and all. So
love it.
now, after all of this, what are the key things restaurant owners should track to see if their email marketing is working, and how can it help grow their business?
This is going to completely depend on the content of each email. Let's say that you have an email that is being sent with your entire new menu featured within the email itself. Now, that might have a lower click-through rate than an email that asks you to go check out the new menu on your website. You can assign click-through as your measure of success for both, but your expectations will need to change, because if someone's finding the value that they were looking for in the email content, they're not going to take further action. Other metrics that I would kind of look to as guiding North Stars to measure the effectiveness of an email campaign would be, reservation bookings, depending on if that's your call to action. Open rate, in my opinion, is a more vanity metric these days than it has been before. Apple Mail automatically opens your email at time of delivery these days. And when we go back to thinking about it having the largest email market share, it's an overpopulated metric that won't necessarily be the best measure of success. So again, I would look at click-through rate if you are asking for something from your subscriber, and use your own metrics as your benchmarks. So understand how your audience does behave today. And if you want to try and move the needle on that, test out different campaigns. Test out a well-designed email with images of your food versus just a text-based email, and see what drives more engagement and more success, because it's going to completely depend on each individual subscriber and the audience that you have and the amount of times you communicate with them on a monthly basis. But at an engagement level, click-through rate is great if you're asking for them to do something. And then if you want to measure kind of the downstream effect, it could be orders placed, such as in the context of Tauntaun Sushi. They're always asking me to place an order and I'm following through. It could be reservation bookings, or tickets purchased, similar to the pigeon example, where they're asking me to buy a guest ticket to see this guest chef. So it's going to completely depend on the email content.
Right. It could be gift cards, for example, the discount. Yeah. No, oh, my mind's just going all many places. So I'm curious though, because I also have had a lot of experience with email, and I may outdate myself, and I bet that they've come a long way now. Those preview tools to see how they land in the inbox on the different email servers and clients, and how do you foresee this is going to happen with this AI that is coming on Monday?
In a lot of the products that serve up inbox previews, it's previewing whether the content of the email itself does render correctly. I haven't had any preview tools yet show me what the email is going to look like from an inbox view with the subject line and friendly from name. So we'll see. I don't expect there to be much change of the email content itself, and how those tools are used to preview in advance. Those tools are more used, in my opinion, to understand like if Outlook is going to completely ruin the design of the email because things that are being used in the email aren't supported by different inboxes. And then in the world of this AI taking over content, in the context of it changing preview or pre-header text, is just we're gonna have to wait and see what this looks like. I know there's some beta. I could go and download the beta of it today, but I'm almost like la 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 la, like ignorance is bliss for another 72 hours.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to dig deeper. What a nerd.
You know what? Well, it sounds to me like there's a part two to all of
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
Naomi, we're definitely going to have you back on the show to dig a
Fun. Would
little
love
bit
to
deeper
come
in it
back.
because yes, we'd love to have you. And I want to hear about the iOS update
Yeah.
and how that's affecting everything email. So we're going to dig into that. But that is all the time we have for this episode. Naomi, now is your time to plug away. Where can people connect with you? What is your platform of choice?
Oh, fun. I'm still hanging on for dear life on Twitter.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't, I know, I can't give it up. I'm
Wow.
on Twitter and Instagram with the handle email from Naomi. I also am very active on my own website, which is naomiwest.ca. I've just released a 5.5 hour long course on the foundationals of email marketing. So if anyone is looking to kind of understand the basic skills that you might need to effectively launch email campaigns and automations, I would highly recommend you go and check that out. And on my website as well, I have a sign up to my newsletter, which is called Slow Emails. And it's named that because there's not a predictable cadence with how much I send. It's on a slow basis whenever I see fit.
Free drink to be determined.
Yes, yes. Free fountain drink.
All right. Speaking of plugs, this podcast is sponsored by Dynpricing, real-time restaurant profitability. Dynpricing uses artificial intelligence to improve restaurant profitability by dynamically updating menus across digital channels like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. Thanks again to Naomi for joining us. Until next week, say goodbye, Jose.
Email. Goodbye, Jose.
Thanks so much for having me, both of you.